Thank you for tuning in for today's video with a very important message that I wanted to bring to everyone today, and that is all about practice change. Going to explain what it is, talk about why it's important today, now, more so than ever. Now, I have created a playlist for my previous practice change videos. I'm going to include links down below and above, and I definitely encourage you to check those out. But I haven't put out a specific practice change video in quite some time. I've got a lot of new subscribers, and I'm pretty sure people might be unfamiliar with what practice change is. I do mention it in some of my videos. I end every video with saying, be the change by practicing change. So I'm going to explain what practice change is in today's video. Now, before we get into it, if this just happens to be your first time ever watching any of my content, I do encourage you to explore my channel. If you like what I'm doing, you can support me by subscribing, smashing that like button, hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with my videos as they come out. Be sure to check out my Patreon channel where I post up exclusive content and it's a way to support what I do directly. Check out my library channel where I post up extra videos. And also, I have a brand new audio podcast that is hosted on anchor.fm at Rice Radio, and it features the exclusive podcast, The Rice Bowl, and it's also going to feature select episodes from the Rice Crypto YouTube channel. You can find that podcast on every major podcasting platform such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, and more. Gonna have links down below so you can check that out and all the other things I mentioned. And without further ado, we're just gonna get right into it. Okay, so what is practice change? What is this thing I keep talking about in my videos? Well, practice change for me is a path that I'm on to improve who I am, to be a better version of Rice, to be the best me that I can possibly be. And I call it practice change because we get to learn from everything that we do daily, whether it's good or bad, positive or negative. Every single interaction, everything that we do, we can learn from these experiences, and we can reapply that the next day to be a better us, to be a better me. And the cool part about this, and the reason I call it practice change is, we are human beings. We are going to make mistakes. It's just part of human nature that we are going to make mistakes. But learning from those mistakes is what's important. And that's why I call it practice change, because practice does make perfect. And the more that you're mindful of these things, the more that you're aware, the more that you try to improve. And it really kind of starts with you loving yourself. And I'll get into that. It took me a while to figure that out. But loving yourself is definitely the start of practice change, because you can't love anything else at all, anything more than what you love for yourself. You can't give more than what you have. So it starts with you. If there's something going on in your life, you're not exactly happy with who yourself is or has become because of whatever circumstances that might have happened, whether or not you were in control or not, whether or not it was your fault or not, you've got to figure out a way to get through that. And once you get through that and you can start working on loving yourself and getting on that path, then you truly want to change. See, there's been a lot of times in my life that I've tried to change different aspects. And once things start getting better in my life and I get more comfortable with things, I forget about trying to be on that path of change. And I end up screwing up and getting really off track. So about 4 years ago, I made a concerted effort to put everything into this. It's really the heart of what I do as a content creator. I talk about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies and how disruptive they can be and how much they can change a lot of the world for the better. Just the decentralized technology can do so many things, but we're going to continue to have the same problems with new technologies if we don't advance as who we are as a species. So practice change is literally just being the change that you want to see in this world. And this path is going to be different for everybody. But the cool thing about that is it has the same end result. It ultimately is about being a better you. For me, it's about being a better me. And I get to practice this every day. When we make mistakes, one of the things that we do to ourselves is we punish ourselves for these mistakes. And we somehow create this subconscious prison and that we feel like we can't escape from. But we got to learn to forgive ourselves for the mistakes that we make and learn from those mistakes and grow and know that we'll make more mistakes that we have to grow from. But it ultimately comes down to the simple idea of treating people how you want to be treated. The golden rule. I mean, if we lived in a world where everybody truly treated everybody as they wanted to be treated, we wouldn't need a law. We wouldn't need police officers. We wouldn't need courts. We wouldn't have violence. We wouldn't have war. Not if everybody truly treated everyone how they wanted to be treated. And the only way that we can work towards that is by people exemplifying that and trying to be that change. That doesn't mean I'm a perfect person and I'm not going to make mistakes. Because like I said, it's all about making mistakes and learning from them. So I'm not trying to put myself on some pedestal, but I'm trying to make myself accountable. And that was one of the reasons why I did practice change as a public thing. So I could be accountable to something. So I would have to stay on this path so that when times got comfortable and everything was good, that I wouldn't just get off track like I have in the past. So I put it out as a public thing and now I'm holding to it. So when you see me hashtag practice change, I'm encouraging other people to do this. It's not my thing. Practice change is not about me at all. The only thing that's about me of this is the fact that I'm trying to be the change that I want to see in this world. That's it. The problem with the world today is a lot of people complain, bitch and complain about things they don't like. And that really doesn't solve anything. It's just creating negative energy. And negative energy brings about negativity. That's a law of attraction. What you think, what you say, what you do is what you attract in your life. So it starts with you loving yourself, and then it starts with your thoughts. Then it starts with your words, and then it starts with your actions. So it's very important to think about the things you think about. It's very important to think about the things you're going to say, and also think about the things you're going to do. Think about the consequences of things you're going to do and say and think are. Consequences aren't always negative. So remember that. Consequences can be positive. There are good consequences and bad consequences. So being mindful, being aware, I think these things are very important. And as you start to get on this path, they just become natural. And it becomes part of this walk that I'm on. Trying to be the change that I want to see, not bitching about things and setting an example for how people can be, for a possibility of a different future. I mean, people look at me, I've got tattoos, I got a mohawk. People want to judge me. It's fine. I'm here to break stereotypes. That's what I want to do. I want to make people think differently. I want people to look at me and judge me. And then when I speak to them, completely change their mind. And when you can do something like that, it leaves a really good impact on other people. And sometimes they're a lot more receptive to what you have to say and some of the things that you do. And then that example of trying to be the change has an impact on other people, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to inspire you watching this to be the change that you want to see in this world. So you can inspire other people by being that change, by setting that example. Something else I wanted to touch on was spirituality and religion. I'm not going to preach to anybody here, but I think it's really important that we get in touch with that aspect of our lives. Whatever your belief system is, unless your belief system is something that's negative, that's detrimental to others, that's selfish or harmful. If your belief system doesn't include any of those things and is tolerant, cling to it. Spirituality is very important today. And it would help you on your walk. For people who go to AA or NA classes, they mention a higher power. It helps people to relate to move forward. So even if you don't have spiritual or religious beliefs, you can find some higher power, something that you can look up to help inspire you in your path. And I just think that's something that people should take into consideration. Myself, I was raised a traditional Christian. I don't identify as a Christian anymore today. I do follow Jesus. I do look at Jesus as being my Lord and Savior. I do consider myself a follower of the way. I don't really like to identify as a Christian because of the so-called Christians today. Actually, speaking about that, the reason I use practice change as well too is because someone who follows the teachings of Buddha, that we would call a Buddhist, they wouldn't call themselves that. They refer to themselves as practicing Buddhist, because to become a Buddhist, you have achieved enlightenment, which is what the Buddha had done. That's what Buddha means, the one who achieved enlightenment. And with that being said, practicing Buddhist, they're practicing to be the Buddha. They're practicing to be enlightened. And a Christian should be Christ-like, following the teachings and examples of Christ and being such. So I would think Christians could actually do well with calling themselves practicing Christians, because there's not very many people on this planet that really truly walk that walk, myself included. At the same time, though, no one who walks on this judge is free of doing any ill action or sin or anything like that. We are all capable of doing bad, malicious things, and capable of thinking, saying, and doing bad things. But it's a matter of, do you do those things? Do you make that choice? At least some people are at least mindful of that concept. But if you get mindful of the idea of improving who you are. Now, going back to loving yourself. When you think about your spirituality and your religion and your higher power, God, Father, Source, however you want to look at that. And specifically for me, Jesus had two teachings. So no matter what you think about Jesus or the Bible or anything like that, that's beyond the point. Jesus left two teachings, very generic teachings that kind of go along with the golden rule. Treat people how you want to be treated. One, love God with all your heart. And two, love your brother, your neighbor, as you would love yourself. And the way that I explain this is you can't love God, Father, Source, or however you identify that in any capacity without loving your brother and your neighbor as you love yourself. That's the only way I feel like you can truly show your love. I mean, being faithful and following what your religion or spirituality says is another way, but it's to truly, truly show your love is to love other people as you love yourself. Now, going back to loving yourself. As I said earlier, you can't give more than you got. So you can't love anybody else any more than you already love yourself. So if you don't love yourself, you can't love others. So you can't give more than you got. So if you have a struggle with learning to love yourself, which is something that I struggled with for quite some time, that's why I suggest a spirituality, religious aspect if you want to cling to that. There are many ways that you can get to the end result. And again, this path is different for everybody. But the reason it's more important now, today, more so than ever, is because look around you. Look at what's going on in this world. Look at just this year. It's getting crazy out there. People are starting to lose their morals, integrity, honesty. I'm not saying all people, but it looks like the majority of people are starting to just become mindless sheeple who just are selfishly indulging in themselves. We need to be the change. We need to show others. And that's why it's so important right now. I talk about the Great Awakening in my videos. I have video series that I do about the Great Awakening. It's more than this physical world. It's more than the QAnon stuff, Nasera, Jacera, global reset, economic reset, sound money, taking the power away from the people who don't need it and making everything the way it was supposed to be. All that's good. That's physical. The real thing about the Great Awakening is us evolving as a species. If you study history and know anything about the equinox and the precession of the equinox and things like that, we're supposed to be entering or have entered into the age of Aquarius, which would be the age of enlightenment. And with that being said, that's the time that humanity, man, woman, is supposed to evolve and progress into what we're supposed to be, or what we are naturally supposed to be. What that is, I don't know. I'm still discovering those things. I'm still learning. I'm staying open-minded and I'm learning. But with that being said, it's time for us to evolve. Really think about that. Because as much as humanity might seem like it's evolved, in a lot of ways, we're still those cavemen with just technology. We really haven't advanced that much. Look at all the war and violence happening in this world. Look at all the homeless people. And that's not even going into all the other things in this world that are messed up and evil. Messed up and negative. However you want to look at that, however your perspective is on that, however you perceive that to be. This is why I think it's important right now to be that change by practicing change. If this message hits you and it touches you, feel free to start hashtagging practice change in your social media. Use it, inspire other people to be the change. But the only way that you can inspire people is by being that change yourself. Remember, practice change starts with you. So I really do hope you found value in today's video. I do encourage you to check out the previous videos that I've done on practice change. That playlist is down below. And I'm going to do a little bit more regular content about practice change, at least once a month, try to keep up with this practice change message, especially with it being so relevant and so important today with everything that's going on. If this is your first time ever watching any of my videos, this is kind of an unusual video. And my videos kind of range. I have the Rice Crypto Show covering crypto and blockchain technology. I have the Rice Report covering economics and politics. And Stranger Than Fiction, which is covering stuff that people would consider to be conspiracy theories, woo-woo, stuff that's unproven. And I definitely encourage you to explore my channel. If you like what I'm doing, make sure you subscribe. If you like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Please share, please comment down below. Check out my Patreon channel where I post up exclusive content, and it's a way for you to support what I do directly. And check out my audio podcast on anchor.fm at Rice Radio. That's going to feature the Rice Bowl podcast and select episodes from the Rice Crypto YouTube channel. You can find that on every major podcasting platform at Rice Crypto. And as usual, I encourage you to be the change by practicing change.